this year we're hoping that without too many hitches, we're going to do some magnificent stuff. But to lead us off here, I'd like Anthony to go over with the mechanics of our project here. And Anthony, why don't you go through it a little bit?
Okay, so we have everybody on here. The people we're going to try to mute. I'm going to try to mute everybody that's not talking, that shouldn't be talking, and we're going to keep it muted. If you want to talk, there's either on your phone or the tablet. There's a little button, the microphone, and you can unmute yourself, or you can hold the space bar to talk if you're on a computer. If you want to ask a question, you can either raise your hand with the little reactions button on your screen, or you can send a message via the chat box on your screen and we'll ask the questions for you. Any way you want to do it, but I'm going to try to keep everybody muted. Again, if you want to speak, hold down the space bar. I'm going to leave everybody on for right now. Everybody that's muted himself is good. And if it gets out of hand, if you notice that you're muted, I did it to you because I heard background noise. So we're going to let it fly open right now because it's not too bad. So we're going to have fun in Wyoming this year. We're going to have a lot of people via Zoom and people there. So it's going to be a really good time, and we're going to work Zoom again like we did hard. Okay, Dave.
Okay, well, the big thing about this year, in addition to how much work we've done on assembling the team and going over materials and projects and all of that, and mostly getting the technology all ramped up for a rather adventurous delivery of Zoom to a lot of people. The other big deal, and actually the background of this year, I would like to introduce to you Pam Cable and Lee Cable. And those of you that are new, all of you who have been around for a while, you all know Pam and Lee, but some of you who are new may not know them. They're the ones who started this workshop 20 years ago. And they are the brain trust of it. They set it up emotionally, they set it up psychologically, how artists would like to work and have a workshop. And it was their theme that has been driving it for the past 20 years. And so Pam Cable is the executive director of the Susan Kathleen Black Foundation. So Pam, why don't you take it away?
Before you go, Pam, just a warning, guys, they live in the mountains, they have a lag, so just be patient with it.
Yeah, everybody come by for a vacation near Pikes Peak. Thank you for that kind introduction, David. I've been so privileged the last 20 years to be the director of the SKB Foundation. And I'm just so grateful to see all of you here, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. As I said, this is a grand experiment. We wanted to do some community outreach, touch base with all those interested before the workshop. So this is a pre-workshop meet and greet. Especially thank the instructors for taking the time to join us. Your students are here to meet you and to ask a few questions. And so I'm really excited to see how this is going to work and build on that going on into the future. So as I said, this is our 20th artist rendezvous and workshop in Du Bois. And who knew? 20 years have just flown by and we can hardly believe it until we look in the mirror and see we're 20 years older than we were when we started. So we're trying to avoid the mirrors. So welcome to all of you who are coming to Du Bois. I know it's been a challenge for the second year in a row to make a decision to come to Du Bois, and I appreciate all of you who are going to be there live, and also appreciate very much the people who are joining us via Zoom. So we have a wonderful community, and which we're very anxious to host. And I think with that said, I'm going to turn this back over to David to introduce the instructors and to get this underway. Like your hairdo, David.
Thank you, Pam. Oh, that's a little too close. Wow. Well, Anthony has loaded in the window, and I thought that what we would do tonight is I want to introduce to you some of the artists that will be delivering content on Zoom all over the country. And to let you, those of you who don't know them, get a chance to meet them and hear a little bit about them. So we're going to go through this, and I thought the easiest way to do it would be to actually work with our new schedule that we actually have that you can review and look over as time goes on here. This will be what you will review to see what you want to take part in during the course of the week. But it'll be a really easy way for us to go through and introduce the artists and talk a little bit about what they're going to do. And Anthony, you want to tell them a little bit about how they're going to get this schedule, or do you want to just?
The schedule is going to be up on the website soon, but it's always changing as of right now. I also put the tentative one in the chat box. And if you click on the chat box, there's a schedule there that you can download right now if you want to see it. But we will have it up on the website soon, but some of these artists are trying to decide what they're doing and when they're doing it. So we're moving people around as we speak, but we're getting close.
This first one is a one sheet, and it's just a schematic of what's coming up during the week. We have a much more involved one coming out soon that has pictures, and it's all very pretty.
David, I don't see the schedule, or Anthony.
It's in the chat box.
Put it in there again. It's in there once, but I'll put it in there.
No,
again.
it isn't.
It isn't there.
Okay, now it's there again.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
There we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
Good.
Now it's there. Okay, if you double click that,
That's all right.
it comes up real easy. And I'm gonna go through it. I have another one right here. I'm gonna go through, and I'm gonna start with Monday morning. And this is 9 a.m. Monday morning.
9:30.
And I'm starting off on Monday morning, but I won't start with me. Let's start with Siri Lester. Susie, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing? Because she starts at 9:30 Monday morning.
We're going to have lots of coffee ready for you guys. And even those of you guys on Zoom, you're allowed to bring your coffee to the session. But I'll be teaching in acrylic. And what I'll do is I'll cover some small basic things like composition, use of light, colors and things of that nature. And then we'll actually create an image that we'll work on as a group. So if you want to see you want to see water, or you want to see grass, or you want to see snow, we'll build that into the painting in acrylic and hopefully get it done within the 2 hours. A lot of times I'll put up to 25 to 100 layers of paint to achieve what I want to do. And that's what I want to show you guys, these tricks and neat things to make your job a lot easier and a lot more fun. So that's the first one.
Thank you, Susie. She's at 9:30. Coming up at 10 o'clock to noon on Monday will be Andrew Denman. And Andrew, why don't you tell a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, hi folks. So what I'm going to be doing is giving a workshop that is very specifically about composition. This is a workshop that I've taught here in Tucson as a 3-day workshop, but I'm going to be giving you kind of a condensed version. It is really going to be kind of an interactive lecture format. I don't expect anybody to paint along with me. That's not what my workshop is about. It's a bit more conceptual than that. But what we'll do is I'll have sort of a PowerPoint presentation. I'll do a screen share so you can see all the slides that I'm showing, talking about composition, you know, kind of learning the rules and how to break them. What I'm asking people to do is send me images in advance so that I can incorporate your art pieces into the PowerPoint. So I think, what am I asking you guys? I'm trying to remember how many images I asked people to send. Yeah, I'm asking each of you to submit 2 images. And what I'm hoping that you'll do is if each participant submits one image that is a painting that they're really happy with, and another one that you yourself are aware didn't come out the way you wanted it to, that needs some work. And we'll try to evaluate why that is, what makes a successful painting work, what makes an unsuccessful composition unsuccessful, and how to improve upon it. I will pepper in there in the presentation also showing you some images of famous paintings throughout history, and we'll kind of break those down in a nuts and bolts way and talk about what those artists were doing, and you know why a composition is still a good composition hundreds of years later. So that's pretty much it. Again, the most important part, if you want to participate in my session, is to send me those 2 images of artwork in advance, and that will be that.
I already put Andrew's email in the chat box. If you want Andrew's email, you already have it available for you in the chat.
Thank you, Anthony. Great.
You got it.
Yeah, and just make sure that when you send those images, there are some requirements. Please send me JPEGs only. Don't send anything with a single dimension over 2,000 pixels. Don't send me anything under 500 pixels. I don't want to have to squint at it at a low res file. I want to be evaluating your work on its actual quality, not on a crappy image. Please try to avoid glare, distortion from camera lens, frames or backgrounds. When you send them to me, please put SKB Composition Workshop and your first and last name in the subject line of the email. That way, when stuff comes in, I know exactly what it is. I can pop it into a folder and I can go through that really easily. And it would be great if you could title your JPEG files with your name, the title of the work, the medium, the size in inches, followed by either best work or needs help. So I know which is the one that you're really happy with and which is the one that you are struggling with. And if anybody has any questions clarifying that, again, you can email me. You've got my email through Anthony. So yeah, that's it.
Great.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Great. Those of you who are new to the SKB workshop, this year it's actually the most diverse that it's ever been. This is my 16th year at the workshop. And I remember when I first came out to teach there that I was surprised at the diversity. And this year it's even more because of Zoom. The diversity of content for those of you who are looking for all kinds of information about all kinds of different mediums, this is the place to be. And this next one is Christine Knapp. This is one of the cool things about the SKB workshop is very often we have sculpture, and we have a bunch of sculptors. And Christine, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Thank you for that intro. I realize that most of you guys are painters, but I too was a painter, still am. But sculpture is really my passion. And so what I want to impart with anybody who's interested is the fact that sculpture can enhance your paintings. I know some painters who actually sculpt forms and then take those forms and subject it to different types of light and use that in their painting. And that's a great tool. But also sculpture in itself is an endpoint, an exciting endpoint. And the process is, well, to people like me, and I hope to a lot of you, is a lot of fun. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to take you from beginning concept sketch of sculpting a horse or any other four-legged animal all the way to the finished clay that will be mold ready. And then at the end of my first two-hour session with sculpture, I'm going to show you how this horse is going to fit into an even bigger project. So you can see how the planning gets involved and how you can just do all kinds of things. The sky is the limit. And so I will cover business aspects, I'll cover patinas, I'll cover how you market yourself, and I'll cover, and this is a big one for a lot of people, how you can create, market, and sell your own sculpture without breaking the bank.
Very
So, yeah, there you go. Oh, and for anyone who's interested, you can sculpt along with me, or you can just take notes. But if you're going to sculpt along with me, or for anyone who's live, please send me your images or ideas of what you'd like to sculpt so that I can help you prepare properly.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Christine. At 1:30, we have Julie Gibson, who is an oil painter, but I don't think Julie's on tonight. And
I believe not.
is she,
I don't
Anthony?
think so.
I don't think so. But the next one up in the afternoon on Monday, remember this is just Monday, is Guy Combs. And Guy will give us a little update on what you're going to do.
Hi, everyone. So one of my favorite things about SKB is the quick draw. And I'm very sad that we're not going to be there for the quick draw this year. But I decided that for my Zoom class, I would do a quick draw for all the participants. And so it's pretty simple, really. I'm going to set up my easel. I'll have a small canvas. I will use a fairly limited palette, and I will try my best to create something that is coherent or whatever in the time that I have, and something that also hopefully you guys can follow along with as well. And in order for you to do that, I will make available a materials list and a reference image, so you can all work from the same reference image that I'm working from, and it will just be, you know, fun. I'll probably make a horrible mess, and yours will all be way better than mine. But it's the taking part that counts. So yes, I hope you guys will all tune in, and it'll be fun.
Great. Thank you, Guy.
Thanks.
Fabulous. And now at 7 o'clock in the evening on Monday, we usually have programming in the evening, and this year we have a special one, which is a combination of Susie Siri Lester and Anthony going over a number of this in the schedule. It says marketing, but it's actually more complex than that. Why don't you give us an update?
Some of the things we'll cover in the marketing is how to approach galleries, how to sell your work, how to price your work, advertising's the pluses and the minuses for that, answer any questions you have. But I want to show you some things that will make you better than everybody else that is trying to get into that gallery, so that you stand out to the gallery and they'd be more interested in providing wall space for you. Or if you want to learn how to use the internet to sell your pieces, we're there to help you be successful at whatever you do.
Yeah, my main goal is to try to help you get people to your website, make sure that your website is functioning so that it's easy to see your artwork and it's easy to see your genre of artwork that you do. And I also will help you learn how to get people. My main goal is that 90% of the people are on Facebook right now, and how to promote your images on Facebook, but instead of just putting an image of your artwork on Facebook, but show you how to get people from Facebook to your website so they can see more pieces of your artwork. And that's the main goal. One of the keys of that is each piece of your artwork should have its own page on your website, and a lot of people don't have that. So that's my goal. Just answer questions about how to work the internet, social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do.
And these are actually very important topics, both what Anthony's talking about and what Susie is talking about. They both have extreme experience levels that can be helpful to artists who are trying to deal with these issues. Before we leave Monday, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing. And I will be starting off Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I will be starting on a 3-day effort to break down what I call cheetah vision. Now, cheetah vision, and people ask, what the heck is that? Well, cheetah vision is a skill that artists have and can develop where we are focusing on one subject to the exclusion of other things. When I'm developing an idea, I have to focus on certain aspects that will make that idea come to life quicker. And I'm going to show you 3 days. I'm going to start with the first phase of it on Monday. And then I have 2 other days, and I will build along the way, all the way through the week. So by the end of the week, you will have a way to work with any idea that you have, going from black and white studies into full color very, very quickly. And it's going to, but my sessions will actually be hands-on working sessions for both the people in Du Bois and the people on Zoom. So if you want to paint along with me, I encourage it. And I have a wave that we will participate actively. And so get ready, it's going to be fun. When we switch over to Tuesday, we have Tuesday is our traditional big quick draw. And is Lee there? Pam, is Lee there?
Yeah, they're muted.
I can press your space bar. There we go.
Yeah, here we are.
I can't.
We're here.
They're there.
Can Lee talk a little bit about the quick draw? And one of the things we were wanting to do for the people who are on Zoom, they're not going to be able to actually walk around. So we thought Lee, who's done the quick draw for 20 years, Lee knows it better than anybody. And Lee can walk around and introduce people to the artists who are working and help to identify that. Can you say a little bit about it, Lee?
Yeah, sure. The quick draw, when I first started this years ago, we had 45 minutes. Now we're up to an hour, whatever. At the SKB, we encourage everyone to not be concerned about time. We try to keep it in an hour, but it doesn't, we prefer that the image be started directly, clean canvas, clean paper, whatever. But if you're uncomfortable with that, we certainly allow you to have an image partly started, or maybe just in the hour finish the image. And then these images go up for auction and the proceeds go back to SKB. And any media is allowed. But what I'll be doing then is I'll be walking around, talking, probably not trying to disturb the artist anymore than I have to, because it's a sweat run down the back of your neck type thing for the artist. Puts a lot of pressure on them. But I will try to introduce possibly what the artist is trying to accomplish in maybe the subject matter, the approach, the style, the colors, composition, basically everything that's involved in a piece of art. But try to explain what the artists are trying to do in this short period of time. I admire the artists that do the quick draw. It puts a lot of pressure on them, but it's a good experience for those that want to see how an image is started. And most of the time, it has to be rendered fairly quickly. So that'll be my goal. Hopefully, we'll keep it interested. and we'll have a lot of good images to put into our auction.
And the quick draw that we have every year is one of the highlights of the week. And for those of you who are on Zoom, and if you've never been to a quick draw, I think you'll find it very fascinating to see these things take shape in a short amount of time. I'm going to move on here to Tuesday after the quick draw. We're on Tuesday, and Mark Mahaffey is going to work in watercolor. And Mark, why don't you say a few things?
Sure. I'm actually in my studio with two webcams set up and the computer that has my face up here in the corner. And we're going to be working on Brave watercolor over the last 3 or 4, actually almost 5 years now. I've been experimenting with an alternate surface for watercolor. So I start with traditional cotton paper, and I noticed that if I didn't really plan all of the steps, first pass, second pass, third pass, details on cotton paper, and if I wanted to make substantive changes or even minor changes, that was really difficult on cotton paper. So I started experimenting with gesso on cotton paper. I'm going to switch cameras since we're in the studio and just give you sort of an idea of what's possible. So I'm going to go from my handsome face, nobody laugh, please, to my webcam, which is right here. And this is a demonstration that I did today. I was teaching the last 2 days in plein air. So this is transparent watercolor on cotton paper. And I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but I have 2 figures down here in the corner. And this has been drying for a number of hours. So transparent water, cotton paper, 2 coats of golden brand gesso to seal the paper surface. All of the paint sits up on the surface. I have 2 figures down here. Maybe I don't want the figures. So I'm re-wetting these figures and taking paper towel, and the figures are gone. So just like that. Also, let's say you start from a photo reference, you do a compositional plan, you go to a value drawing, you execute the painting, and you realize that you just don't care for the painting. Rather than switch to another piece of cotton paper untreated, if you don't like the painting, and this is just paper towel dipped in water, you can completely remove the paint from this surface. So I just ruined that painting, of course. Some people are laughing, but it was a demonstration. It was a decent demo, but this gives folks an idea of how brave you can be on this surface, because you can put transparent watercolor down on this surface, realize that you've made either a color or a value mistake, and completely change it. Lift it, add, lift it, add, lift it, add to your heart's content until you actually get it to look the way you want it to look. So that would be 2 coats of golden brand, and other brands do work, but I know for sure golden white gesso works wonderfully. 2 coats on both sides of the watercolor paper, and I'll lead you through the whole process and give plenty of opportunities.
So Mark, am I understanding that you would like people to paint along with you?
You know what? It's a lot of fun to do that, David. I think that would be a good idea. Or, you know, it just sort of depends if they would like to just follow along or just watch for information. That's fine too. If they want to paint with me, then they should get a 1/4 sheet of watercolor paper and put 2 coats of golden gesso on both sides. We do both sides so it doesn't curl with uneven drying. And then of course you can paint on both sides as well. So that side. Right. And that side. And it's a very forgiving surface. I know transparent watercolor can be unforgiving at times on cotton paper because it sinks into the fibers. With painting on gesso, it all stays up on the surface and is available to manipulate.
And don't forget, people, that all of the programming that we're doing, which I think is something like 60 hours, isn't it, Anthony? Something like 60 or more hours. It'll all be recorded, and you will have, when you buy into your license to get into the workshop, you get access for 6 months to all those recordings. So you never miss anything. The next, on the same day, Tuesday, we have another watercolor, and it's Lauren McCracken. And Lauren, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Walk them through what you're talking about.
All righty. Thanks, David. Can you all see what I'm holding up in front of me here? This is a cropped image of a still life that I photographed a couple of years ago out in Du Bois. It was out at John Finley's ranch, and these are objects that came out of his dad's workshop there. And I'm going to have this painting in several different stages of development, and I'm going to have paused at each of the critical parts of the painting so I can talk to you in the 2 sessions about how to paint high degree of realism. What are the really important things to look at? Texture, lettering, clear glass, all of those things. And if you want to paint along with me, I just posted my email address, and I can send you a materials list, the reference drawing, and the reference photo. Anthony, I assume if I send those to you, you can also post them on the website? Yes? Okay. We'll get that done. I'm traveling for the next 10 days, so it'll be after that before I can get these sent out. But if you're interested in how to paint a high degree of realism in watercolor, then this is the place to be when we're in Du Bois.
And I think you guys can begin to see the diversity that I was talking about. There's no other workshop like this with the total range of stuff. And this year's Zoom has it really covered in all directions. Next up will be Wanda Mum, and Wanda paints in oils. And Wanda, give us an idea of what you're doing.
Hello, everyone. I'm a 20-year participant in the workshop. Spent a couple of years just attending and then started teaching after that. Enjoy teaching very much. It's one of the more pleasurable things about painting to me because I enjoy sharing with people things that I've learned. And so on this particular session, we're going to be showing how to turn a daytime scene, which is this scene, into a nighttime scene. And it's going to be how to adjust your colors so that you're depicting a totally different time of day, different type of light, and getting that feeling that it is in a different space than the other one. Normally, Jeannie McKenzie and I do an intro to plein air class that we do at the beginning of the week. Jeannie and I have spent 3 days this year creating 3 separate segments on plein air. It'll be on materials, it'll be on the process, and then a demo. So we'll be doing that for everyone. And then on this particular session, we'll have 2 hours to work on this. I have a drawing. I have a list of the colors, what the mixes will be, what the paint that were used on all those mixes. And so those will help anybody who's working on have all the materials in front of them, and they'll have it ahead of time so that they can kind of plan out their time. With the colors mixed ahead of time for people on Zoom, they'll be able to follow along with what I'm doing.
Great. Those of you that have come out to Du Bois, you know that Wanda is the consummate plein air painter. She's out early in the morning till late in the day. She goes everywhere, and she knows that part of the country better than just about anybody. We got another landscape oil painter this year, Jim Coe. And he's also a very accomplished painter in oils. And Jim, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing?
All right. Well, thank you, David. I'm really excited this year because we have an opportunity to take a demonstration, which I did last year, and I'm excited about doing a demonstration again this year. But we're going to do a second session. And for those of you who are not that familiar with my work, I'm a landscape painter. I do a lot of plein air landscape, but I'm also a bird painter, and I like to combine the two. And I have a very direct approach, which does not involve preliminary drawing or laying everything out on the canvas. I jump right in as I would with a plein air painting. And my goal in the demo is going to be to show how a painting like that evolves, how it takes shape on the canvas. And we'll have the first 2 hours, the demo, to get it all laid in. But as I said, what I'm excited about this year is that we're going to come back to it 2 days later after the first layer is dry. And we'll evaluate it. We'll take a look. We'll see where I got things right, where the drawing might not be correct. And I'll show you how you can take a painting and then make the corrections and work a second session on an oil painting. The session I have in mind was not designed to be a paint along session, but I'd be glad to, as we get closer, send a materials list and images that I'll be working from to anybody who would like to paint along. But I see it as an interactive demonstration where you can ask questions. We'll have 2 cameras, one on the canvas and one on my palette that Anthony will be able to switch back and forth and show you my color mixes and how I'm applying the paint. And as I said, I'm really excited because this is an opportunity to show how a painting can develop over multiple sessions. And you'll be able to extrapolate from there how you would continue to work on it until it reached a level of finish that you were satisfied with.
And this is very important for those of you who have even the slightest inclination about wanting to learn how to paint in plein air. Both Jim and Wanda and several other painters are really a wealth of experience in this. So you can pick and choose throughout the whole week and add that to your repertoire. When we switch over to Wednesday, Wednesday morning is me again, and I will be expanding on my Cheetah Vision theme, which is really all about focus and about focusing your ideas in a way that is very practical. We're going to be taking some of my images, reference images, and we're going to be experimenting with them from start to finish, all the way from sketches, black and white, studies, into full color. And so that'll be a second stage of that. On that same day at 9:30 is Caleb. And Caleb also paints in oils. And let's hear a little bit from Caleb.
Hey everybody. So that morning or that day, I will be, the session is titled Finding Faces. And I wanted to explore and communicate about painting portraits. I'll be working in oil. You're welcome to work along, paint in whatever media you would like, or even sketch with clay if you would like to. But I'll be focusing on talking about searching out likeness and expression in portraits, particularly with painting. It's very easy to get into a mindset that you've got to be extremely exact, very, very, very careful. The kind of the trap of exactitude, particularly when you're painting people, when you're painting portraits. And often, especially for newer artists or developing artists, that can lead to very easily to killing the expressiveness of the painting, of the application, and ultimately into not achieving very good likeness, because you tend to get afraid of making changes. Once you get down a feature, you know, an eye or a nose or something, that one thing may be good or may be proportionally accurate. There may be something about it, and you don't want to touch it again. You get, you know, you're afraid to make adjustments there. So this is going to be all about kind of searching out in a more kind of fluid, loose, and less committed way through that process to achieve something that is ultimately really wonderful. And also it allows you, even if when you get to finish of when you stop working on a painting like this study, because we're very rarely actually finished with anything, even if you don't like what you have accomplished or it's not a perfect likeness, you will have learned more through that process of being willing to search, being willing to make changes, being willing to see where it leads you. That doesn't mean that you don't approach it with there's something you want to accomplish, or there's a vision you have for the, you know, for what you're trying to capture, what you've responded to in the person, but to counteract, how to go about counteracting that inclination to be too exact or too careful, too reticent to make changes.
Okay, great. At noon on 10 to noon on Wednesday, we have a mentoring session with Lauren, but that, I don't think that is something that's going to be broadcast, is it, Anthony?
I think as of right now, we're planning on broadcasting to show people how, Wanda, we can tell you what we're doing with the mentoring, but the plan was to have Lauren walk around and show people what we do out in Wyoming. Besides this, you come out there to learn how to paint, but you also are helping, we help the local high school and their painting program, and Lauren's going to walk around and talk to the students and see what they learn about painting, and talk to the students that are there from our SKB group and see how they enjoy teaching other people how to paint. Is that correct, Wanda?
Yes, I can fill you in just a little bit more. We've been doing this program with the local school in Du Bois for 14 years, and selected students who are very interested in learning a little bit more, or getting the actual wonderful time of getting to spend a couple of hours with a professional artist. And it's amazing what it's done to the program in Du Bois for the schools. They win state awards because the kids are much more developed in their art through our program. So we match up our artists with these kids one-on-one, and they go off and create a painting that morning. And Lauren is going to walk around and talk to the kids and talk to the student instructors that we have about what they're doing and what impact it may have on them in the future.
And this has been an amazing program that Wanda and her team have executed over the more than a dozen years. And the kids in that school system go on to win all the awards in Wyoming. It's really pretty cool. And Wanda, we had a question that came in that says, what kind of paint is Wanda using?
I'm a plein air painter, and I always paint in oils.
There you go, oils. Okay, we're on to Wednesday now, group. And Christine, can you explain a little bit about how Wednesday's going to change?
Yes, I'm essentially going to show you another kind of sculpting technique that for you 2D painters, it might be a good stepping stone on getting into sculpture in 3D. I'm going to show you how to make a relief. And that relief, I'm going to take you step by step in, where I'm going to take an 8x10, maybe 8x12 piece of foam core, and put the clay on that and show you how you can take your own sketch or your own photograph and translate that into a relief. And so we'll take you step by step through that. You can either watch or you can go along. I will have a supply list that's available. And with the bare minimum set of tools and a little bit of clay, you can make yourself a relief, and I'll talk about how you put the colors or patinas on it, how you market it, and what the approximate cost would be to mold and cast it, and offer that to your patrons as another option. So I'm going to be working on a mountain lion. You can pick a different subject if you like. The technique will be applicable to any subject that you decide to pick, or you can do the same thing I'm doing.
Very cool. And I've learned more about sculpture from you guys out there than I did all through art school and beyond. And it's really fascinating. Because I knew nothing. I love sculpture, but how you guys do what you do, and especially those of you who are not familiar with Christine and John Phelps also, these sculptors, they do some really huge stuff, big sculpture, not little tiny things, but big, massive sculptures.
Yeah.
That's very cool. On Wednesday, we also have 1:30, we have a special program we're trying to put together where we're going to try to get Mort Saulberg to talk to me about his career. I don't know if you know, I don't think Mort's on today, is he?
No.
Okay. Anyway, Mort is one of the top watercolor painters in America. He paints in acrylic and watercolor. He's really an accomplished guy. And I told him, I said, I want you to just talk about how you developed your career, what came first, etc. Anthony's going to then bring up a bunch of images in tandem with Mort, showing the different examples as he talks about it. And that's one that you won't want to miss, because it's really like a chance to get to know famous artists and their whole career. That's at 1:30 on Wednesday. 2 o'clock, we have another oil painter, Trustee, who paints magnificent flowers. I mean, we have so much talent at this thing. It's amazing. And Anne, why don't you talk a little bit of what you're going to do?
Yes, I paint flowers, and I'm lucky enough to live next door to a master horticulturalist who brings me flowers to paint all the time, in addition to our own gardens. So I'm gonna, for me, flowers are little emissaries to remind us of the beauty that's out there when we so often are not seeing it. In this class, I'm condensing what I normally would do in a 3-day workshop with students into 2 hours. So it may not be easy to work along with me, but I welcome it. We're going to use an image from a bouquet that was brought to me that is, this is the image, amaryllis and orchids and lilies and peonies. And what we're trying to do is to simplify. I work in a style that removes as much paint as it adds paint. So we begin by mostly removing paint. And then we try very, very hard to find the, what's the word? Just sort of the epitome of the flower and the grace and beauty and flow of the flowers in the composition. So it's not a super realistic finish, but hopefully it's a finish that gives you a sense of movement and joy and wonderfulness from the flowers themselves. And I will send the image that we're working from to Anthony if anybody's interested in painting along with me. I'll also do the painting in several stages and have notes on the color mixes that we're using so that we can fit it into a 2-hour session. Thank you.
Well, you know, lots of artists paint flowers. I paint flowers. Everybody I know paints flowers, but you do really a magnificent job of flowers. I've always enjoyed those. And those of you that are joining us in Zoom, you might want to pencil that one in and be ready to work with her on flowers.
Thanks, David.
Let's see, on 7 o'clock this evening program, we have another special program. We always try to do critiques for artists. And this we're going to do the same thing this year. And is John there?
John's there.
Phelps? Joe John.
I am.
Why don't you
I had
talk,
to unmute.
talk a little bit about what you're going to do?
Okay, basically, thank you, David. I am heading a team that will critique your paintings and your sculpture. I'm an oil painter and a sculptor. So we will hopefully there'll be one other instructor with me each time. Hopefully we will give you a Siskel and Ebert type critique where what's right with your painting, what's wrong with your painting, and how to improve it. And same with the sculpture. And in addition, if you catch me walking through the building or something, I'd be more than happy to critique your work. So there'll be several other artists. Like if you bring a sculpture, I'll find Christine and the two of us will critique your sculpture and stuff like that. And Lee Cable and I will critique the paintings, and I believe Stephen Left will be a critiquer also. So I'm just heading the team, and that's basically what my job will be is critiquing.
And
So, thank you, David.
We'll have a process for people to send in their images in advance so that Anthony can prepare them for showing to the whole group. And this is a pretty exciting thing. And you only can send in 2 images. And so you got to decide which images would you like to have someone critique. But it's a very exciting part of any big event like this. If you've never been to a critique, this is the time to do it. On Thursday morning, it's me again. I thought I'd show you one of the skills that we're going to develop this week. Here is something I just had a workshop down in South Carolina, and here's the skill that we're going to work with in the beginning of the week. And this is a 1-cup black and white done in Payne's Gray, and I teach artists how to do these kinds of studies in 20 minutes, not 2 hours, not 3 hours. But if you can't do it in 20 minutes, then there's something wrong with the technique. I'm going to show you the technique for how to take any potential painting subject and put it into this format very quickly. And then I'll show you how to go into color from there. On Thursday also, Wanda has something called Schwabacher. What is that, Wanda? I can't pronounce it.
Schwabacher.
Schwabacher. What is that?
So Schwabacher's Landing is probably one of the most popular stops that people make to go along the Tetons, if you're kind of taking the highway along the Tetons and see it. The scene that we're going to be doing is this scene, and it's going to be a sunrise scene. And set out and painted this when it was really cold a couple of years ago and sold the painting. So I'll be recreating it to bring to show. And I talked a little bit ago about Jeannie McKenzie and I creating these filmings of things for plein air. I should talk a little more about that, because if you're not used to doing plein air, we set this up for complete novice to be able to see these segments. They'll be on the library on the SKB site. And so seeing that ahead of time coming will help you be able to paint this painting along with me. So watch for that to be coming on the SKB site soon. And I'll have all these things available of the colors and stuff that we'll be using, so you'll know just which colors to get. Anthony is going to be using a green screen while we do this. And so we'll be showing the image behind me of exactly what we're painting. So we're going to have it nice and blown up, nice and big, so that you'll be able to see the image the entire time I'm painting. I take photographs as I'm in the field, you know, from before I even start and partway through and stuff as the light changes. And we kind of talk about that a little bit for you on the filming that Jeannie and I just got done doing. So plein air, it'll be done indoors, but it'll show you how to do it outdoors. And we'll try to get some other sessions put in the library for you of me going out on location as well. Du Bois is fantastic for plein air painting. There's so much diversity. David talked about the diversity of instruction. There's so much diversity of landscape out there. Anything from red rock cliffs, mountains, canyons, all kinds of different kinds of landscapes, rivers, lakes. So we have about everything there that you could ever want to go out and learn how to paint in the field. And that's what I'll be specializing in all week. We'll be taking people out to paint in the field or paint with me inside in a plein air style. Thanks, David.
Okay. Let's see, we're on Thursday. This, I think, is when Jim is going to do his second session.
That's
Jim,
right.
is that right?
Yeah, I don't really know that I need to say a whole lot more about it. I explained what we'll do, but after that first session has sat for 2 days and the paint will be dry enough to paint over what the first layer, I'll show how you would approach refining and working on a painting in a second session to make corrections, to thicken the paint up, and just make changes if you want to make changes at that stage.
Great.
So it's a
Great.
continuation of the demo I will have started 2 days earlier.
Okay. And at 11 o'clock on Thursday is Angela Davis. This is something that very few artists know much about. And Angela is one of the tops in the country. And she comes out there and she talks to us about a very unusual skill, which is learning about licensing our products and our images. So Angela?
Angela had to leave because she is in the Adirondacks with no Wi-Fi reception and she's losing reception. So she's no longer here.
Well, Angela is, she has worked with a bunch of the SKB artists, and she can answer people's questions about the refined process of learning how to license your images for all kinds of things. And she's the expert, really. And at 1 o'clock that day is Caleb, and he's going to be doing something called grand gestures.
Yes, I will be working in clay. This is a sculpture demo and session where I'm going to be emphasizing working directly and quickly to capture the gesture of whatever you are studying. I'll have a person sitting for us, and I may even do 2 or 3 clay sketches in that time. We'll just have to see how it goes. But that, just like with the finding faces, sometimes if we're trying to be too kind of particular and exact with surface details, or the what a famous artist of the past said, the happenstance of likeness. If we're too concerned with the surface and with the finish, then we often lose the what's really powerful. That's the gesture, the expression, the core of whatever it is we're representing. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on in clay as well.
Great. And after that, in the afternoon, Susie's going to work in acrylics. And we haven't actually talked that much about acrylics, but a lot of people paint in acrylics. And Susie's one of the best. Susie?
Thank you, David. I'm going to be talking about the use of light and dark to create a mood. We can add rain or snow or mist to create a specific mood. I'm also going to teach you how to tell a story with your painting. We want the paintings to be interesting, not something boring that people are going to look at for 2 seconds and then walk away. We want them to stay within the painting and learn more. And then a couple of the side things that I'll do is I'll teach you guys how to my technique of varnishing the paintings with liquid, and then my ideas on framing studio pieces, which is different from plein air pieces, and how you can have an okay frame on an okay painting and you have a shitty painting, where you can have a great frame on an okay painting and you have a magnificent painting. And it's all the perception that goes into the framing that you use. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then tie up anything else that people want to know. But it'll be basically lights and darks and mood and rain and snow and night and things, anything that you guys want to learn.
Okay. On the afternoon on Thursday, 3:30 to 5:30, Pam wanted to get John Banovich to come and do another program. And John's a good friend of mine, and I was able to get him just before he left for Africa. And so I was talking to him about, he's, wanted to know what I wanted him to do. And I said, John, I want you to tell people what it's like to work as an artist when you're going to Africa and you're working on subjects like this. What is that like? Going on the field trip like this, where you're overseas for a month or more at a time, and then you come back, and he says, I'll even go through how I research ahead of time, but he says they might like to know how I sell African pieces. And I said, I think people would be real interested in that, because John sells some really big pieces. So he's gonna do a special presentation on his working methods in Africa, just returning from Africa. That's gonna be very cool. On 7 o'clock on Thursday night, we have our silent auction. And I don't know that much of the silent auction, is it gonna be televised, Pam?
No.
I don't think so. It's just for the people in Du Bois. But Friday morning, Lauren is back on call. And Lauren, can you talk? Are you going to be continuing your high degree of clarity?
Yes, David, I'm going to still be working on this still life of the objects from out at the Finley Ranch. One of the things I think might be of interest to a lot of people is that I get more inquiries about my black backgrounds in my paintings than any one thing. And for years and years, I mixed my own blacks. And I got approached last year by the Daniel Smith Paint Company, and they asked, could they create a McCracken black? And so I worked with them this last year. And the 1st of August, the Dick Blick Company and all the companies around the world are now selling McCracken black. And so I'm going to illustrate how to apply McCracken black so you get no reflections. You get an absolute matte surface that absorbs the light and really sets off the objects in your still life.
Very cool. Very interesting. And 9:30 on Friday, we have Ken Shenica, who is a local feature.
Ask a question about, can I ask a question of Lauren?
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question of Lauren, David?
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to ask Lauren if he will have some of his McCracken black. Will he have his McCracken black available for purchase at Du Bois?
I'll have to talk to the manufacturer and see if they can get a retailer to do that, but we'll work out something. Yeah, we might even have a drawing for some.
Okay, it's not critical. I was just curious, but
Now, Lauren, we don't.
yeah.
Lauren,
Sorry for interrupting, David.
Lauren, we don't want any of that crappy black. We want the good black. We want the Lauren black.
Well, it's a great black. No, we'll have a supply there for sure.
All right. Ken Shenica, where are you?
Right here. I'm ready for you.
Talk a little bit about what you're going to do.
Well, Friday morning, I guess it's a run to the finish line, 4 days down, last one going. I'm going to set up and I'm going to do a small painting in my style. It's probably going to be a sunrise painting with a nice romantic warm skies as the evening is warming up. There's a nice warming up to daytime. I'll break it into parts because I don't paint that quickly. That pushes me a little bit for 2 hours. So I'll do a thumbnail and I'll show what I do, how I set that up. I'll show my subject matter, probably a finished painting. Then I'll do a grisaille or a value study of it. I'll probably have that finished in advance so I can show you and talk about how I got from point A to point B. And then I'll probably have the painting that I'm going to complete about halfway done, and I'll complete it in the next 2 hours. I'll talk about my process, my limited palette, what brushes I use, and how I present the painting at the end. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've been to all 20. This will be my 20th SKB workshop. I teach 6 to 8 2.5 hour classes every week. So I do talk while I paint. And I try to have a lot of fun and sneak in that learning stuff while we're having fun. So I hope people turn in and tune into to my demo and ask questions. I'll be able to answer questions. And hopefully you won't have burned out by Friday. It'll be fun. I always enjoy it.
Thank you, Ken. Ken lives on Pikes Peak. How many people do you know that live on Pikes Peak? Well, Ken actually does, and he paints it a lot. 10 o'clock on Friday, we also have Shane Neal will be doing his program in oil. I don't think Shane's here tonight, is he, Anthony?
No, not that I see.
Yeah. Shane is one of the top portrait painters in the country and very colorful guy. And he's going to be doing a segment on classical portrait painting. And if you are not aware what that is, that's the one you want to watch because it's really something. But then right after that, from 1 to 3, we have another unique feature of SKB that is going to be done by Stephen Left and Anthony Canada. And this is Photoshop, which every artist needs to know their way around Photoshop. And Anthony, why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Well, we're not teaching everybody how to get around Photoshop because we would need days, not 2 hours. But Stephen and I are just going to go through some ideas and some tools that you can use and how you can do a composition and how to use Photoshop as a tool for composition. I'm going to be more of the control and the Photoshop person because I am not an artist, but Stephen will be my voice as we talk through how to do composition. Stephen, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, can you screen share?
Can we what?
I'm working on it. Well, let's see here. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to basically guide you through how you go from here to here to eventually, and I'm still working on it, here. Here to here in Photoshop. All the tools I use to get to this point to put together a painting that you'll end up, you know, somewhat there. And that's that.
Cool.
This ability to work with Photoshop is an actual skill that artists need to know. Compositing or building composure, or not composure, but compositions, and how to layer that, that's a skill that they're going to be going over and showing. If you don't know how to do that, you need to tune that one in. 1:30, we have Tom Lucas. Is Tom here tonight?
Not that I've seen.
I don't think so. Tom is a local artist there in Du Bois, He has a unique style, and he's going to give a demonstration of that in oil. And you should go and look at Tom Lucas's website and familiarize yourself with his style. As we wrap up the week, last but certainly not least, is John Holze. And once again, we have a great watercolor this year. This watercolor thing is just a great assortment this year. And John wraps it up here at the end of the day. So John, what are you going to do?
Hi, everybody. Well, I think what we're going to try and do is a Western subject would be appropriate. Even though I can't be out there this year, I thought we could visit this through art. And so what I've selected is an image that I will send anybody who wants to paint along that we can work from. And this is an image of these rescue horses that live in Abiquiu, New Mexico, at a place where I usually will take live workshops and we'll paint out there, but we can't. So these are all horses. There are about 40 horses this woman saves from being destroyed and gives them a place to live out their days. So, you know, for an artist, it's just a great place to go, especially if you love horses. You've got 40 of them to paint and compose. It's terrific. So one of these images we're going to work from, and this is a version of it. It's a very traditional kind of composition and painting, but it's really pushing watercolor to its limit. And it may be difficult for some of you to handle this, but I'll walk you through it step by step. This has got anatomy in it. It's got lots of value control in it. It uses every wash technique that you need to have under your belt is used in this painting. And I will paint this start to finish during the 2-hour session and show you how I built an image like this and how you may also take your images and build them like this. So it'd be a lot of fun. And this comes from my regular Thursday evening watercolor Zoom classes that I've been doing ever since last year. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Paint along if you can. I have a materials list that I'll send to Anthony, but it's really the basic watercolor materials that I normally would use. So if you're interested in traditional watercolor painting and landscapes and horses, then this might be the workshop for you.
Thank you, John. Well, before we, I want Pam to say a little bit about the 20-year celebration, but before we do that, I want to ask if there's any questions that people have that they would like to address to any one of these artists individually or collectively, whatever. Anybody have a question?
David, a lady asked about, can someone talk about equipment?
Yeah, I see that they want to, can anyone talk about equipment and the setup to video our work and the process? Well, that's kind of a big subject, but who asked that question?
Gabriella.
Gabrielle, are you talking, Gabrielle, about you setting up a video camera and taking video of yourself painting?
Yes, if we want to do video, post on Instagram or on the website, how we can set up the cameras to shoot our work and while we're working, the process of working. You guys are doing it to do this Zoom. I just wanted somebody to explain how you have it set up.
Anthony, you want to say a few words about that?
I don't do that, so I set up the Zoom. John, how do you, or no?
I mean, I can give the subject of photography, you know, art photography, videoing stuff, particularly for live on the web. It's a big topic. There's a lot there, but I'd say the key few things are to set up the camera from as close to the same angle as you are viewing the artwork. Then get the light in such a position that it is revealing the artwork very well, what you're working on and or the reference, without any glare for the camera. So you're going to be looking at that image coming from your camera on, or your phone, whatever it is you're using, on the screen, and making adjustments based on that. You're going to need plenty of light, either a large window that you're going to have to adjust things, move your position of your artwork, and then subsequently the camera. Just keep the same orientation of the camera and the artwork to keep that view. Or a large diffused light source, so like a soft box or a light umbrella with plenty of light. And yeah, those are the biggest things. And then
Thomas, I would say that one of the key things is getting a really high resolution camera. You know, don't rely on your iPhone. Go and get a camera that's made for it. I have 3 Sony 6400s mounted in around my painting board that I use. I have a fixed one over my palette. I have a lecture camera out in front of me when I'm just talking to my audience. And then I have a camera mounted near the ceiling that has a remote zoom on it that I can zoom down to 4 inches by 4 inches, so I can show the detail that I'm painting on. And I'll tell you that it's taken me 6 months to set all this up with the lights and everything, and it's close to $5,000.
Wow.
yeah, doing it well takes a lot of work, a lot of research, knowledge, and expense. Obviously work with what you've got just to begin with. But if you can get a relatively good camera for the for the webcam use, showing you, and as good of a quality, both in resolution and color rendering for what you're putting on your artwork, because that's where it matters.
Yeah, another thing about the cameras is make sure that you have a camera that's fixed focused, because when your hand goes in front of it, the cameras like to focus on your hand, and it's really disturbing to the view. So when you want to make sure that your camera's fixed focus on your artwork, so it doesn't jump in and out of focus and drive everybody a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and not that a camera that can focus at different distances is bad. You just need to be able to control that for the view on your artwork.
You need to be able to turn off the autofocus function.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
We have all of our broadcasting for our SKB Zoom and shares that we've done on our iPad and my iPhone.
Yeah.
And so it's possible to do it that way. There are limitations with each type of camera, of course, but it's decent. It depends on what your audience is looking for.
Right.
You know, if it's just to show somebody what you're doing, that's different than if you're trying to archive what you're doing.
Okay, as we wrap up here, I'd like Pam to bring us back to the point of SKB and the 20th year anniversary here, and give us a little bit of a highlight here. Pam.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, David. I just want to remind everybody that on Sunday night, we have a kickoff party, and those of you on Zoom are welcome to join us. And that's a time when we introduce the week, and just wanted to tell you that you were invited to that. On Sunday, Friday evening, we'll be celebrating our 20th annual Artist Rendezvous and Workshop. And this is this year is special, it's 20th, and we are going to honor Susan Kathleen Black, whom our foundation is named after. Susan Kathleen was a personal friend of mine, also of Lee's. She was a student of Lee's, and that's how we originally met her. And through Susan, we met Jim Parkman, who's the chairman of our board, and the very generous gentleman who financially supports the foundation in our mission of art education. So we will be celebrating Susan Kathleen. There will be members of her family there. there will be a piece of her artwork. Susan was especially known for her floral pieces, but she had a passion for wildlife art and was headed in that direction with numerous workshops. Unfortunately, when Susan passed, before she was able to realize all her talent, but we honor her. She was a real friend and loved artwork. And so we're looking forward to celebrating her life. One of her closest friends, Claudia Lampe, who is on our board, will be giving a slide presentation, pictures of Susan and just a little bit of reminiscence with her, which we're all looking forward to. So I wanted to thank you again for attending tonight, and I hope you got value from that. And I want to especially thank the instructors for showing us what they're going to be up to in Du Bois. It's very exciting. And as David pointed out, we have a lot of diversity in subject and in materials and style. And so I'm very excited to see all of you in Du Bois or on Zoom. So with that, I'll say goodnight myself and thank David very much for being the host with the most.
Thank you. Guys, I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. We're looking forward to it.